the new channel. Hashtag TNC Now. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. We are here not only to help you see the new you, but be the new you. I am Jesse Francis Rebustillo, live streaming from Marcelo here in Parañaque City, and you're watching episode 133 of HR Hotline. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Saturday. It's a wonderful Saturday. The sun is up, and actually, I was in my garden for almost 2 hours already. I woke up early, walked my dogs, and I was in my garden the whole morning. And here I am now live streaming, and I'm so happy because I have my friends are actually past presidents of the People Management Association of the Philippines, and we're going to converse on some important topics that we need to do, we need to know, and we need to do at this time of the pandemic. It is still continuing our theme of what to do while we are on a lockdown, while we are on this pandemic. And I can feel that this will be for the longest time, and that will not be able to go back to what we were doing before, and that we must be prepared of what we're going to do in the future. So the topics that we're going to discuss today are, as mentioned previously in our episode by past President Jerry Plana, by Mark Hernandez, or an officer of the PMAP. Now, is that of we need to adapt or adopt. There is a difference between A and O, as in adapt, A and adopt, or practice transformational leadership. It is easier said than done. I've been doing that in my webinars and taught this topic of transformation. But the challenge is we are now on a work from home virtual mode. How can you really how can you really um, uh, practice or influence our subordinates and be a transformational leader? It is very easy to say that I am a transformational leader, but how at this time that there are challenges? And the other one is um, with that is actually changing the mindsets. And I mentioned this before. You can even start with what we call your inward and your outward mindset. And then you go into what you call your growth and your fixed mindset, leading to what we call the positive mindset. And that you become, you must you become and you try to now, your perspective is now leading into what we call the success mindset. So these are actually mindset on particular things, say on leading, say on communication, but there should be that foundation of changing your thinking, how you look into your world, from outward to growth to positive to, but the question now is, how can what and how can we influence that change mindset? How can we actually uh, perform or uh, adopt that change mindset and influence our people again, that we are in the pandemic? And I even mentioned that this is, how can you actually influence others to adopt change mindset, considering that it's vocal, it's uncertain, changing to some uncertainties. We have guests that will talk deeper into this. And then, of course, if we still have time, we will discuss what is it for us to start any change. There are things that we really have to be firm. What are the things that we need to stop or refrain from doing so that we can move on? So that is actually what we're going to discuss in this episode. So let me now introduce, you know them very well. I will start with um, the muse of the Copa of PIMAP, um, uh, past President Michelle Cordero Garcia. Michelle?
Hi, good morning. Magandang umaga.
Yes, I know you just came from a webinar and I missed it because I was with my dogs. I was in my garden. Tell us what you did earlier.
Oo. I spent my morning with the leadership committee of PMAP. So we had about siguro mga 40 attendees at Jessie. These are all mga aspiring and upcoming HR leaders in the country. So
Mentors.
we talked
Yes.
about change and transformation and how do we reimagine the workplace, diba? In this time of, unprecedented scenario that we are all in. So exciting conversation.
Yes. And we
Mhm.
have also, ladies and gentlemen, past president of PIMAP, Jerry Plana. He's my idol and he's my mentor with the IIP Investors for People. In People, no? What is that? Michelle, ano ba yun? Investors
Investors in people, yes,
in People.
IIP.
IIP. Yes. Can we have Mr. Jerry Plana?
Hi, Jesse. Hi, Michelle. Good
Yes.
afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Glad to be
Yes.
here.
Yes. What kept you busy for the past days?
Well, nothing has really changed in terms of work schedule, Jesse. I think it's just a change of location. But I think, what is good about now, I think things are picking up in terms of activities compared to last year, no, when we got a little flat-footed, with the pandemic.
That's true. That's true. I am even for the past week. There were some were actually asking me to do sessions with their organization and association. So it means that it's picking up. But you know what I told them? They have also to pay the speakers and the trainers. It's so often that everybody is picking up. They think that speaking and training is free. Well, anyway, if it is for your association, say for PMAP, say when we do it for PMAP, yes. But for other association, it should not be, because sabi ko, it's not for me, but I am the president now. I'm going to actually relinquish it, in a month, of the Philippine Association of Professional Speakers. Business is picking up, but there are some industries wherein naglalag behind kasi they're being requested to speak or train for free. So I told them na it's picking up, help everybody. Right, Jerry? Yes, we now have here Mr. Obet Policarpio. Yes, yes.
Hello, good noon, magandang tanghali. Ay nako, Pipi Michelle, long time no see. Parang kanina lang magkasama tayo sa
Oo
restaurant.
nga, eh. Ganyan din ang bati niya kanina, Jessie. Sabi ko, "Parang nasa radio show, hindi kita matatapatan diyan." Kasi
Oo naman, kinakailangan super duper hyper. We have Pipi Jerry Plana all the way from Santa Rosa, Laguna.
Yes.
Yes. Hoy, ingat ka diyan, Jerry Santa Rosa, kasi I know, I have friends in Cabuyao na ano ha, the whole family got ano ha, got positive. Ingat ka diyan
Yeah.
sa area na 'yan. Okay. Ang nakakatakot kasi daw yung mga asymptomatic are also moving around. Anyway, let's
oo.
let's let's now discuss yung ating what we are supposed to do, and it is how to be transformational leader now that we are in a pandemic and now we are in the lockdown. Who can share? Paano kaya? Di ba madaling
Ay,
sabihin na sino?
yung news muna, yung news.
News.
Hindi, yung bagong guest muna. Jerry, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, sige.
Talagang ano, you were there last week. Anyway, siguro when we talk about transformational leadership, just a little bit of a history. This is not a new term. No, this was a term that was floated in the 70s by a person named James McGregor Burns. No? So when he first made a distinction between transformational leader and transactional leader, so that was the beginning of that differentiation. Transactional is a business-like type of a leader. You know, this is what I give you. This is how much you pay me. Very transactional, very business-like, very legalistic. Transformational leader is somebody to me. The briefest way of my describing transformational leader is somebody who can generate a lot of energy to be able to pursue a shared vision, an exciting shared vision. That is what, to me, in a nutshell, what transformational leadership is all about. And
So
I think,
paano yan, Jerry? Paano
yeah,
yan, Jerry, ngayon? So, that is the definition of that a transformational leader. Paano yan ngayon? Ang
uh,
tanong ko ikaw.
yeah, within this context now, there's another leadership brand that's being floated these days. No? Parang the agile leader, the
Yes.
resilient leader, di ba? So you might
Yes.
ask the question, what's the relationship between these newer brands to transformational? To me, it's very simple. When you're a transformational leader, you drive the change. When you're an agile, resilient leader, you know what to do when change comes. You adapt to it. You adapt to it quickly, with a lot of vigor. So I think the two are really very much complementary, related, and I think we need to really take a look at these two types of leaders together, because they are what we need precisely in these days of pandemic.
Yeah. Kaya nga eh. Kasi, of course, people are also stressed, people are also having some yung sasabi natin mental health, and people really need directions and supervision. So, and then we really are actually pivoting, bouncing forward, transforming. So, kailangan talaga the leader should be transformational. So, ang question, how we are really going to push, coax, tawag nito, takutin natin na para mag-transform kayo. Paano natin masabi? Michelle, what are your thoughts? I know you discussed this also this morning. What are your thoughts on this? Nakamute ka po, ma'am.
Ay, ayan, okay. So, ako tingin ko unang-una dapat malinaw muna sa atin anong ibig sabihin ng transformation. And for myself, 'di ba, I've always defined transformation as hindi lang siya pagbabago pero ito ay makahulugang pagbabago. Kapag ka ginawa mong makahulugan ng isang pagbabago, ibig sabihin it has to be meaningful and relevant, not only for yourself but for the people around you. And therefore, ang isang bagay na dapat nating gagawin if we want our transformation to be relevant and meaningful, dapat alam natin bakit kailangan nating pagdaanan at gawin ng pagbabago na yan. So number one, I think we need to be very much aware. Ano bang nangyayari sa paligid natin and how is that impacting others around us? How is that impacting us? At anong pwede nating magawa, 'di ba? Para yung impact na 'yon, kung mabigat man para sa iba ay mapagaang natin. Kung mahirap man para sa iba ay mapadali natin. At kung hindi man siya kaaya-aya para sa iba ay mapaganda natin. So, for me, understanding what's happening around you and having that self-awareness is very critical para magkaroon ka ng meaningful transformation.
What you're telling us, Michelle, is that first, doon muna sa tao. the transformation is for you. So you understand yourself.
Correct.
Oo.
Totoo. Dapat
Kaya,
ikaw muna. Ikaw muna sa sarili mo, number one, naniniwala ka that you need to go through transformation. And it can be in your mindset, in your action, in your behavior, in your attitude, whatever it is. Recognition. Diba? Recognition that transformation is needed. Second is understanding. Diba? Understanding ano yung kailangan mong gawin so that you can contribute meaningfully to that transformation process.
Jerry was telling us earlier, ang sinabi ni Jerry is that, di ba, yung yung dati, utos ka ng utos, transactional.
Hmm.
Itong transformation is actually you are trying to generate that feeling, to motivate that feeling na pagkukusa. Ay, ito galing sa akin, yung may discretion ka na kukusa ka. You are empowered. So, ang sinabi mo naman is that it should start from you kasi ang nakikita ko, there are a lot of supervisors or leaders, most especially mga executives, na they expect their subordinates to transform, pero sila hindi naman nag-transform.
Mm.
Yan ang sinasabi mo.
Totoo yan, totoo yan. At isa pang mahalagang word in the transformation is inspiration, di ba? Tayo mga leaders, whether formal or informally, di ba? If we want transformation to happen, dapat tayo alam natin how we can influence and inspire others to do the same. And if we do not know how to do that, we need to have the humility to say, ay hindi ko alam, I need help, I need support, 'di ba? At 'yan yung kahalagahan na dapat pinapaligiran mo yung sarili mo din ng mga tao that can support you, guide you, and people that you can learn from.
By the way, si Gemma Duque ay nandito sa ating chat group. Agree with that, PP Michelle. We cannot give what we do not have. We start it ourselves. At PP Obet, nandito si Lay Amizola Lim. Taga ano rin yan, di ba? San Miguel, ano yan? San Miguel Planta. Power ba yun? Power. Okay. So, ayan. Obet, meron ditong taga San Miguel. Ano ang thoughts mo niyan? How can we be transformation?
So how can I be transformation? Parang ano mo, tatanda mo yung The Transformers? Diba?
Yes.
Mga Transformers. Pero ano mo, yung Transformers, bago mangyari yan, dapat meron mo ng tinitingnan na transition. Diba? Parang ako, every time I encounter the word transformation, sisimulan ko muna sa transition eh. Meaning, from something to another thing. For me, yung transformation kasi, hindi lang yung basta managing change, doing strategies, and so forth and so on, no, and embarking on new directions. Ang isang tinitingnan ko kasi dyan what are the value-adding services and sustainable benefits ang aking maipagkakaloob, no, in the way I lead, no, myself, others, and the organization towards the new state, given the changes that's happening around. Because change is a response to internal and external factors, wherein we have to modify, no, even our core beliefs and long-term behaviors for the betterment of myself and others, so that the organization will be able to embark on new journeys, no? Especially not today, but even after the post-pandemic period.
Right.
Kaibigan.
Alam mo, Obet, naalala ko tuloy. Di ba inimbita natin si Dave Ulrich? And Dave Ulrich is actually the guru ng ating yung sinabi mo, yun yung naalala ko, kaya hindi ko nakakalimutan kasi tayo yung nag-imbita niyan eh. Di ba? Tayo nag-imbita niyan. Ang sinabi ni Dave Ulrich, people will change if they can see value on the change that they are undergoing. Yun, naalala ko yun eh. Naalala ko yun. So, hanggang ngayon.
Kaya nga, in-emphasize ko yung yung value adding. Diba? Hindi lang basta pagbabago, etc. Kasi ako, ang nakikita ko ngayon, more than being business-centric. Ngayon I think all the more, it's imperative that any leader, big or small, should be people-centric.
Talaga. And then may bago akong definition niya kasi di ba nagtuturo ako ng customer service, yung customer focus, customer service. Ay, turuan mo nga ako, Jerry, kung tama yung aking nagawa ko ng yung aking isang pananaw doon sa people-centric. It should start from you. Yung centric, kasi ikaw yung nagpo-provide ng customer service. So, customer-centric is not actually just focusing on the customer. You should also focus to yourself. Gaya ba sa waiter, na sobra talaga yung gusto mong pagsilbi, pero gutom ka, Michelle, gutom ka, alas 2 na hindi ka kumakain, kahit ano kaya sigurong turong customer-centric, kung hindi mo naisip muna yung sarili mo. Yung customer centricity is yourself, di ba? Yun.
Oo.
Jerry, may blue ako papasok. Correct me if I'm, alam mo si Jerry kasi parang ano ko yan eh. Parang yan yung, hindi si Saurus. Ano nga noon yung maraming libro nung bata pa ako?
Encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia, di ba? Namatay na yung na-announcer na may encyclopedia. Ngayon si Jerry ang encyclopedia sa ano? Sa HR. Jerry, sa transformational leadership ba, tama bang i-align natin yan doon yung kay Collins? Yung 5 levels of leadership and then servant leadership? Ang dami nakikinig sa atin. So let us try to go into that.
When you say Collins, what exactly is that again? What's the concept of Collins?
I-align yung, di ba yung kay Collins na yung 5 levels of leadership tapos yung servant leadership, pwede ba yan doon isa sa mga bagay na gagawin para maging transformational?
I think the concept of transformational leadership is so broad, it's so all-encompassing that it absorbs servant leadership. I think the other thing that it absorbs is situational leadership, because you might think that is transformational leader very inflexible? No, it's very situational. And I define situational leadership this way, which is wrapped up within the transformational leadership concept. You do not change your principles. What you change is the application of the principles. That's where the flexibility comes in. So when the principle is, let's say, you need to value people because that is good, how you value people may vary from company to company or culture to culture. So you do not change the principle, you change the application of the principle. Like, for instance, if you are feeding a 60-year-old and a 6-month-old, you do not change the principles of nutrition. You change the application of the principles of nutrition depending on the situation. That's my definition of situational leadership.
And that is also transformational, kaya na-absorb, encompassing yun. O yan, yung lahat nakikinig po. Kasi ang tanong nga sa group chat is, ang dali-dali daw sir magsabi ng transformation, pero kung paano yun, it is still yung situational. So, yung lahat na ginagawa po natin, it actually nako-cover noon. Michelle, you have some thoughts on this? You have some thoughts on this?
Oo. Alam mo, when Jerry was answering it, I was also thinking about na sa situation natin ngayon, di ba? Parang halo-halo na siya, di ba? There's technological disruption, there's environmental disruptions, there's biological disruption, tapos may emotional disruption na nangyayari. Na parang, sige nga, anong leadership model ang mag-a-apply, di ba? So for me, I think dapat lagpas na rin tayo dun sa scenario na we're trying to look at different frameworks of leadership, pero talagang ikaw sa sarili mo, what kind of authentic leader are you? Paano ka ba nag-a-adjust sa mga bagay na nangyayari around you, and how are you making sure that your contribution is being value-adding? Sabi nga kanina ni Obet, di ba, na doesn't really matter kasi kung ano yung strategy, model, approach, what's important is, yun bang ginagawa mo? Is it helping? Is it value-adding? Is it relevant? Is it meaningful? Diba? At yun, it will vary. To Jerry's point, it will vary. Depende sa sitwasyon, depende sa organization, and most importantly, depende kung ano ang kailangan ng mga tao, employees, even leaders included, around you. And siguro wag nating kakalimutan na minsan kasi yung salitang leaders, ina-associate natin palagi sa rank or sa level. You know, in organizations, there's a lot of informal leaders, right? So for me, a transformational leader is not only somebody who has that title and rank, di ba? Anyone in the organization can be a transformational leader also.
Right, Michelle. Kasi yung nabasa ko nga yung McKinsey survey, ang very clear that yung upskilling, reskilling, of upgrading is not really meant yung leadership development or leadership ability, hindi doon sa mga super managers na may title. Very clear. Yung
Oo.
yung leadership ability daw for all. Dapat turuan.
Mm.
Yung gaya ba yung sa bahay ninyo, yung para ba yung anak mo, don't tell me na tuturuan mo pa uminom ng vitamins. Dapat leader siya na is responsible to take the vitamins every day because of COVID. Or kung sa bata, ang example doon, yung bata bang mag-decide which is left slipper and the right slipper, that is a leadership ability. Yun, sa lahat na nakikinig. Yung, may mga tao dyan na by oras, yung left nasa right, yung right nasa left. O wala, hindi ka wala kang leadership. No,
Jesse,
yes.
just if I may, I think we're trying to redefine the word leadership nowadays. So it's not title, it's not position, it's contribution. It's what you can put on the table. Now it's your expertise, it's your ideas. So it's not your place in the hierarchy. So I think as we form more teams to address a lot of these issues and complex problems, I think it's what the person can bring to the table. That's the new definition of leadership now.
I will make it clear. Gaya ba noon, when I was tasked to yung nag-initiate ako, Jerry, remember yung job market online sa Inquirer? Wala akong kaalam-alam sa programming, sa IT. So yung kinuha ko is the leader, although ako pa rin ang mag-decide on what will be, how the look, what's the color. Pero the one actually leading me, yung mga kinuha kong programmer and developer. O yun, ladies and gentlemen, gusto siguro sabihin ni Jerry. Tama ba ako, Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
lahat po tayo leader po. Gaya siguro ng karpentero, kinuha ka na magkarpentero, nandun yung may-ari, nagsasabi sa iyo, ito ganit. Pero alam mo na mali. Kung diyan mo ipako, mali. So yung kinuha ng karpentero, you're the leader on that particular situation. Hindi po, ma'am, dito po ang pako kasi kung hindi po, masisira rin. Yun. So lahat po, leader. Okay. Now,
what we're saying, Jesse, is when we look for competence and expertise, it does not follow the hierarchy. It can be found anywhere. That's the kind of contributions we need to get us through these difficulties, this crisis situation.
So, alam mo, I am making it clear, Jerry, kasi kahit na sa HR, Michelle, tayong dalawa, nagsasalita tayo sa mga HR, di ba? Next week, alam mo, may oras, what is the term for that? Condescending? Am I using the right word? Yung mga staff, talagang ayaw mag-decide, Jerry, Obet, and Michelle. Para ba they are so dependent on the HR manager to decide on things. Hindi po. Sa HR, siguro dapat everybody should be a leader. Yeah, very good. Yun, Mr. Chairman. Now, Obet, ano dapat doon ang mga items na dapat sa priority, ano ba dapat ang i-transform ngayon? Aber. Sige, Aber. Ano ba dapat ang i-transform ngayon?
First things first. On a personal level, I have to transform my mindset, my perspective, the entire being on how I look at things. Yun ang unang-una kasi kung ako mismo hindi in tune, it's not aligned to what's happening based on the evolving needs and requirements of myself, my loved ones, vis-a-vis to the community where I belong, to the organization and to the people that I lead and I am part of it, I cannot be effectively transforming them. So dapat ako muna mapakita ko, parang na-imagine ko dyan, myself is like a caterpillar. Before the pandemic, yun yung sitwasyon ko na I just have from one plant to the other as a caterpillar. But now, dumaan ako dun sa cocoon stage during the lockdown. Di ba? So wala akong magawa, but in the darkness, I have to make the transition. So I come out as a beautiful butterfly, and that is the life mission. That's why the pandemic offers different events, situations, that this is the perfect time for any leaders A leader, sabi nga natin kanina, doesn't need a position, a rank, a title. Anyone can be a leader. And I equate leadership to your life mission. So this is our own personal responsibility on how we look after and take good care of the well-being of others. Diba? That's why part of the transformation, it really requires a higher degree of emotional intelligence and empathy. No? Emotional intelligence and empathy. Para nang sa ganon, sabi nga ni Pipi Jerry, wala naman talagang perfect formula or model. Kailangan i-customize mo yan. So all the more that there's really a requirement that we have to be agile to take that appropriate action. No? Second, we need to have that commitment, no, to have the change, embrace the change, and create the right change attuned to the times. And lastly, we should have that tenacity, meaning come what may, we're decisive and we will take the strategic action. So that is ACT: agility, action, commitment, change, and tenacity to take the strategic action for the betterment of everyone.
Obet talaga, parating may acronym. Yes, yes, yes. Uh, Jerry, ano, paano kaya yung what and how are you really going to ano, to yung mag-initiate ka ng change ng mindset? Medyo malalim po ito ha. Remember when I was president, it was unlock mindset, di ba? Unlock mindset to create value. So yun na pinag-uusapan nga natin na it's in a pandemic, you have to be transformational, then you have to change mindset. Gaya ba yung, ang example na naisip ngayon, yung vaccine. Paano mo ma-change yung mindset ng tao mo? Nag-uusap lang kayo sa messenger, nag-text lang kayo. So, how will you change the mindset of somebody? Ano po anong masasabi mo niyan, Jerry? O what and how are we going to influence people to change their mindset to think that everything is uncertain?
Okay, a simpler way of looking at changing mindset is changing beliefs. People, we say behaviors are based on beliefs. And a lot of these beliefs that people have, consciously or unconsciously, mostly unconsciously, are very limiting beliefs. I'll give you one example here of a belief that we need to change so that we can become more transformational. The belief of many managers, if you're a manager, is I have all the answers. That's a belief. That's why you have to take orders from me. That's why you have to listen to what I say because I have all the answers. Now, I think it's very dangerous to have that kind of belief under times of great uncertainty. No? I think managers should be humble enough to admit that they don't know everything, but they probably should be asking the right questions and mobilizing the energy of everyone, not just yourself as a leader, but everyone to be able to get the answers to the questions that you raise. Probably that's a new way of leading under great uncertainty. But if you cannot get out of that belief that I have all the answers, then you will keep on dictating what needs to be done, even if you're not sure if it's the right thing to do. And that can even be more dangerous today.
Michelle, can you please add to what Jerry told us earlier? Ang lalim, no? Ang lalim. But I'm learning. Yes, yes. It's actually the belief. Yes, Michelle?
Oh, ako, I look at my own experience. Siyempre, unang-una, di ba, magtataka ka eh. Di ba? Why is it that you are refusing to change your mindset? Or why is it that you believe in that particular scenario? So it's either meron ka ring na-experience or meron kang pinanggagalingan. Or, in my case, during the pandemic, there was a time that it has been very challenging for me to operate as a leader, as an HR. And then I asked myself, what's the pain point here? Bakit ako nahihirapan? And that's when I came to realize, and again, this is the awareness part na, okay, nahihirapan ako because I'm not letting go of certain things na pwede ko naman i-let go. And then again, I reflect and ask myself, bakit ayoko siya i-let go? Diba? And then you will find yourself answering na, kasi hindi ako sure if kayang gawin, kaya ni ganito, kaya ni ganyan, etc. So, as you assess internally sa sarili mo, why are you refusing to let go? And in the process of you reflecting, bakit kailangan mo siyang gawin, appreciating the possibilities, dun mo din magkakaroon ka ng ano ng awareness, acceptance, and appreciation na, all right, I need to change the way I'm operating. Right? So dun ngayon magsisimula sa sarili mo na, okay, if I want to achieve, if I want to be effective, if I want to be better as a person, I need to be able to manage this part. If I want to manage this part well, I need to do the following. So, yung ganong self-reflection, Jessie, acceptance of those reflection, I think is critical, and that will initiate change in your mindset. But it requires a lot of self-discipline. Humility is also very important. You have to be humble to accept, di ba, na kailangan mong magbago as a person and commit to that development plan or change that you want to do, so that yung pagpapalit ng mindset mo magiging solid until it becomes part of your natural belief.
Right, right. Then, si Direct Monica nagsabi sa atin na magbe-break muna tayo. But before we have the break, can anyone of you tell me, so, paano ang gagawin ng HR or ng CEO kung nakikita mo that some of your members of your leaders or yung mga tao mo ay talagang hindi pa nag-uumpisa mag-change? So that is yung how we can actually start the ball rolling. When we come back and we discuss natin, and then later on, before we end, madiscuss natin what are the things that we need to shy away or refrain and stop doing so that we can start moving on. So let's have the break first, Monica. Jerry, tell us mamaya kung paano yung ating ma-influence yung ating tao. So Monica, we are ready for the break. Can we have that poster where we are supposed to invite the online shows of TNC? Our mission is to become a community where passionate people accept each other, share inspiration, and promote positive transformation. Of course, don't forget to always watch and support HR Hotline 3 times a week. More upcoming shows to follow at TNC now on Facebook, YouTube, and other social media platforms. Thank you, Derek. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you support us because just like today, we have seasoned HRs and past presidents of PMAP sharing with us. And it is they are here. They are busy people, but they are here to share with us their thoughts and insights, and then share this also, so that we can really advance the practice and profession of human resource management. Yes, can we have our guest now, direct? I was before we had the break. I was asking PP Jerry, past President Jerry Plana, as regards of that minds of the change in mindsets and how we are going to really do it, how we are going to start the ball rolling, to initiate or trigger that people. Pero para bang magbago ka na. 'Di ba magbago ka na? O nga, ano ang pagbabago? 'Di ba usually sa New Year nagbago, bagong taon magbago. Ngayon, dapat magbago ka na kasi may pandemic. Ang madaling sabihin ngayon, pero let's hear it from Mr. Plana kung ano ba talaga ang mga gagawin ng isang tao parang ikaw talaga. Nasabi niya kanina ni nag-umpisa si Michelle. Ang sabi niya is acceptance, humility that you need to change. But let's more listen to Jerry on what we are supposed to do, the changing of the mindset. Malalim po ito, kinig tayo.
Yeah. I think the relevant question to answer now is what can organizations do to make
Yes.
this transition from transactional to transformational?
Yes.
I think, first of all, organizations must be committed to some investments in developing their leaders. I think if you don't invest here, I don't think you get the quality of leadership that you want or you desire. There are two things that I can see, generally speaking, that can be done. One is training, and the other one is coaching. I think the two need to be together because I think if you need to change mindsets, I think there's a special role for the coaching that could probably challenge this beliefs. No, it's good in the case of Michelle. She can have the ability to do that self reflection, but not many leaders are able to do that. They probably need some help from somebody like a coach. That's why if you can combine training with coaching on a continuous level, I think you are well on your way to developing the quality of leaders that you need to be able to thrive in this new environment.
Spot on. Talaga kung si Jerry talaga kung sumampal, masakit talaga. Spot on na spot on. So, for all of us in HR, naku, catch up, come up with your program. O kung may program naman, try to come up with a curriculum kung ano talaga ang input natin at i-start natin for our leaders to really start changing their mindset. Ikaw, Pipi Obet, anong naisip mo dyan? Anong thoughts mo dyan?
Well, as a former PSTD member and chair also before, like you, PP Jesse and PP Jerry, we believe in continuous learning and development. And I agree with Jerry that combination of training interventions and coaching. And to sustain that, we will also need mentoring, during this time, especially in creating the right appropriate mindset during this time. So I think we really have to invest in creating programs, activities, and interventions that will create a deeper sense of belongingness in our employees, so that each and everyone, including the leader, will find ways to shift, not simply from managing, supervising, but on how to enable people. That entails decentralizing the power And that power, we call that empowering. Empowering your people to make the discernment more than the decision, no, in taking the right course of action, so that decisions, both personal as well as business decisions, will be able to be implemented, anchored on the mindset of the organization. When I say organization, this is about people. Kaya nga importante na talagang dapat na makita natin yung mindset. At alam nyo, the reason why there are some individuals don't change their mindsets because they don't see the why of changing the mindset. No, kasi itong mindset these are formed habits in the past that needs to be broken now, due to this pandemic. Kaya nga we need to have the counter mindset and see the other side of the coin. Yun yun eh. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, PP Obet. Kaya yung sinabi mong discernment, si Father Malek din nagsabi niyan yung critical openness. Yan, yung critical openness, mag-discern kay sa critical openness. Narinig yan kay Father Malik din. Yung critical openness, it's actually discernment. Right. So,
Jesse,
yes.
if I may
Yes.
just butt in, just very quickly. When I said, I think organizations must take it seriously that they invest in leadership development, because I think not having the right kind of leadership at this time is even more costly. What many organizations do not realize is, the wrong kind of leadership at the wrong time will be costlier for businesses than they're investing for the proper leadership mindset and behaviors. I think that's what
Right.
many organizations do not appreciate.
Yeah. Yun, alam mo, it's really felt, Jerry, ha? It's really, kasi naririnig ko yan sa mga HR na nasa group chat ko. Na talagang sabi niya, ay salamat naman, yung marketing pa yung nakakaintindi, pero yung iba hindi nakakaintindi. So actually, hindi talaga, hindi calibrated, ang term ko calibrated, hindi pare-pareho, hindi align yung yung leadership what do you call this, yung style or the technique that they must do sa mga organizations kayo, and these are big organizations, ha. So ang mahirap nito, these are actually executives. Now I ask you this, Michelle, so nag-umpisa ka na, ano talaga ang particular na dapat mga i-change ng mindsets before we go to what to stop? Doon muna sa, ano baga, mag-start ako. Siguro, ang una siguro na i-change ang mindset is on time. You continue. Time and performance. Ano dapat ang i-change ang mindset? Let us be a little bit particular so that they can get concrete examples. Ano dapat ang i-change ang mindset? Siya,
Oh,
Michelle?
ako marami, pero siguro isa sa kailangan nating simulan bilang leaders is change the mindset na sinasabi natin palagi na ako ang leader, akong tama, akong magde-decide, I know it all, right? Because right now with this pandemic, we don't know what will happen tomorrow eh. So it gives you now the opportunity to be at the same level as everybody else in the organization. Because whether we admit it or not, whether senior leaders will admit it or not, lahat tayo nangangapa. Right? So if we are a senior leader in the organization, we need to first accept the fact that we don't know. Diba? And it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of humility. Kasi pag inopen mo na yung sarili mo at isip mo na, oo, hindi ko alam, I need help. I need the help and support of the people around me. Doon papasok yung magkakaroon ka ng engagement. People will feel that they are being involved. People will more or less learn also how to better contribute. Magkakaroon ka ng trust. People will feel better. And for all you know, baka yung sagot na hinahanap mo will come from another person or better, will be a collective efforts of everyone in the organization. So sa akin, yan ang isa sa maraming kailangan nating baguhin to encourage, having the right mindset.
Yeah, so that's very clear for HR and for all leaders. Ang unang mindset, I think we can, Michelle, para sa decision making ito, no? Sa decision making at sa ano, ha?
Decision making at saka yung paano mo tinitignan yung mga bagay. Kasi kung ang pananaw mo is alam mo ang lahat kasi ikaw ang leader, alam mo ang lahat kasi ikaw ang owner of the business, ikaw ang tama at ikaw ang laging magdedesisyon, the way you will perceive things around you will be different, 'di ba? You will probably not put value and appreciate other employees, 'di ba? Pero kung mulat yung pag-iisip mo at tanggap mo na alright, oo, ako yung owner, oo, ako yung president and CEO, but I don't know everything. And therefore, I need my team, di ba? To work together so that better yung magiging success namin in navigating through these unprecedented times of change and
Yeah.
pandemic.
Ang laki ng effort na gagawin diyan. It's not only mindset but practices. Kasi
Oo, mahirap.
mahirap kasi siyempre asynchronous ka at naka-screen ka o naka-Teams ka o naka-Google Meet ka, pero you really have to inspire everybody that they have to give their they have to speak up and then
Correct.
speak their minds. Di
At
ba?
at dugtungan ko yung sinabi kanina nila Jerry tsaka ni Obet, kasi totoo yun, 'di ba? It's very important right now that we guide our leaders to have that self-awareness and reflection. Kaya yung pagbibigay or magkaroon ka ng coach, very, very important. But then again, kapag ang leader mo ay hindi humble at
Ay,
hindi niya nare-realize, 'di ba, na may mga bagay na hindi niya alam, hindi papayag magkaroon ng coach 'yan, 'di ba?
ay, ay,
So,
ay, no,
maybe
pag-intrigue tayo, Michelle, ang dami niyan sa PMAP ganun.
oh, uy, wag tayong ganyan, 'no? Pero ako ang tingin ko, in addition to having coaches in the workplace, tayo as HR, magaling tayo diyan, eh, dapat creative tayo in planting seeds of inspiration in the workplace. Alam mo diyan yung minsan mag-invite ka, not a leader but somebody probably can influence another person to think differently. In our case, for instance, we are in a medical healthcare device profession. Minsan in our town halls, nag-iimbita kami ng patient. And we hear it from the experience of the patient. Ano po ang pinagdadaanan ninyo bilang diabetic person at paano nakakatulong yung produkto namin sa inyo. And you will be surprised how powerful that is. That our employees, they feel that, ay, yung trabaho ko pala, I'm contributing to help change lives of people and make it better. May mga ganun na pwede mong gawin to help change the mindset. Plant seeds of inspiration.
Okay. Okay. Jerry, yeah. Yan I thank you Michelle for that no, di ba? Yung para bang ang mahirap nga yung leader na ayaw magpa-coach. Na hindi yan ang tawag nun, yung conscious ka pero ayaw ka magpa-coach. How about Jerry? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to really do is shift the mindset from managing to leading, no? Kasi pag sinabi mo transactional leader, to me that's not leadership, it's managing eh. Managing is more associated with things, you know. Pag sinabi manage the cash flow, manage the buildings and things like that. But leading is about the key words here are inspiration, encouragement, support. You know, these are the things that make leadership really deal with human beings. No? So I think that is where the focus is. Kasi masyado tayong in the rat race, no? We got so entangled in the rat race. We do a lot of things, business, kalimutan na ang tao and everything like that. I think this pandemic has really brought us back to this reflection that people are truly important, no? Especially their well-being now, no? You know, if you don't take care of that, we don't have any business to speak about. So I guess we need to really consolidate on that learning and move forward here on with a more enlightened way of running our organizations.
So talagang yun, tama yung sinabi ni PPO, but deserve ka talaga, sa amin yung sinabi ni Michelle kanina na talagang look into yourself po that humility. Sinabi dito sa ating chat ni Alkim. Yes, sabi niya it's actually about humility and he really appreciates that. A Trump's credential, humility and balanced leadership are the most powerful tools as a leader, sabi ni Alking. Yes, so maybe before we end, but what are the things that we need to stop doing and refrain from doing now, personally and also in the office, so that we
Mhm.
can start moving on? Ikaw po na po, Obet. Ano ang mga dapat i-into na muna?
Ihinto na muna. Marami yan, no? But I think una-una, ang dapat ihinto, yung pagiging
Right?
pagiging negative. But rather, we have to have mega minds. When I say mega, dapat it's full of positivity, it's overflowing hope, no? And then there is that steadfast trust and faith. Yun para mapalitan natin yung nega. Of course, sa katotohanan niya, nalulungkot tayo, naapektuhan tayo, and so forth and so on. We are just human. But as we know, there's always the other side, a better side of life. Kaya yun, ihinto lang natin yan, and that kamukha na nabanggit kanina, na we should start continue always yung listening to each and everyone. Kasi naniniwala ako, hindi pa pwedeng one-man rule or one-man knows it all. So everybody must really partake in that responsibility and accountability of being a good leader attuned to the times.
Babalik tayo after that, yung parting message sa atin, kayo magkukonclude ha. How about you, Michelle? Ano ang dapat i-stop na para tayong makapag-umpisa na?
Ako,
Diba?
number one, we need to stop operating the way we were operating before. Ako tingin ko na talaga, we need to not just operate outside the box, but we need to remove the box, right? Example, and binigay ko to kaninang umaga, Jessie. Sabi ko, alam mo, karami ng empleyado natin ngayon working from home. At kung ine-expect pa rin natin that our employees will actually clock in and clock out, honesty system, kalokohan, di ba? Because, we know for a fact that imposible, 'di ba? And HR, honestly, I don't think we have the bandwidth to check every time entries in that system, right? So we need to learn how to operate differently. So bakit hindi na lang, sige na, wala nang time in, time out. Kung nag-overtime ka, then put the number of hours you've rendered overtime. Kung magli-leave ka, just tell us how many days you want to go on leave. But let's not operate by the hour. Let's operate by the output, by the results, right? Pero syempre, easier said than done, di ba? Kasi may mga restrictions pa rin tayong kailangan sundin, may mga labor law tayong kailangan i-observe, and that's a totally different story. Pero ang sinasabi natin dito, everybody, sa sarili mo, yung sa trabaho mo, yung kumpanya mo, even our government, we need to stop operating the way we were operating before and open up our minds on ano bang kailangan baguhin so that we enable others to operate more effectively in this new normal. Kasi hindi na tayo babalik sa dati. This is the new way of doing work, and it is continuously evolving.
Very good. Tama talaga. Yeah. Naunahan mo lang ako, Michelle. Ang una talaga is a shift in the mindset on looking at the time. And also, siguro, a shift on the mindset and looking at our performance. Kaya sinabi mo, output-based niya. At yung may nasabi kang, dapat sa conclusion, pero sabihin ko na, yung kahapon nagtapos ngayon, yung bukas nagsisimula ngayon. So dapat yung tingnan mo yung gagawin. So di ba, yesterday and today, tomorrow is starting today. So actually focus and be mindful of what you do today. Right? Ang galalim talaga ni Mami. By the way, Michelle, Obet, and Jerry, let's make this a Saturday club. Every Saturday tayo dito nag-usap-usap. Okay. And then madadagdagan natin ito kasi si Mr. Rene Henner. Si Mr. Rene Henner gustong sumali eh. Kasi
sama mo.
Jesse, hindi na club, family na.
Family, of course naman. Of course naman eh. Nagte-textan kami. Alam mo, lahat naman kayo, nagte-textan tayo actually yung mga outside sa mga messenger natin. Ako, Si Obet, yung isang araw, natawagan kami niyan. Pero let's go back. Jerry, before I'll ask you to conclude, kayo magko-conclude na tatlo. Jerry, what can you say about that? Ano yung dapat i-stop natin? Stop natin. Life or at work?
Okay, during times of great uncertainty, I think we should stop relying on rules. I think rather than rules, I think we need to rely on clarifying the purpose of our organization. That is, I think, the real truth. If we can get that clear, even if we break all the rules and we change all the rules, the purpose is the one that's going to, help us through. So rather than rely on what new rules I will make up, I think we need to clarify the purpose so that everybody can gravitate towards that, and we don't lose our way in this dark period.
Very good. Yes, overtime na. Yes, grabe talaga. Rules. Tapos yung sinabi ni Michelle about ay nako, dapat isi-share natin ito. May sinabi rito si Lim. Miss Direct, mabasa natin. Just give us some overtime. Sabi ni Alkim, character trumps. No, that one. Changing the mindset is hard. Changing the mindset is hard, especially if the person doesn't acknowledge his problem. Showing a person's vulnerability takes a lot of courage, especially for the leaders. Encouraging a culture of openness and trust are vital ingredients for the company to progress and transform. Menti ko yan, menti ko yan. Ang lalim ng linagay niya, lalim. Naku, ma-promote na dapat si Lay. Dapat, ma-promote na dapat yan. Kasi ang lalim, changing the mindset is hard. Especially if the person doesn't acknowledge his problem. Talaga. Totoo yun. So with all of this, thank you, Lay, for listening to us. Andito yung mga idol mo. Idol kayo niyan. Kami nag-uusap, idol kayo niyan. So, let us start with PP Obet and then Michelle and then Jerry. So, what can you say? What can you conclude of what we discussed, my dear friends, for today? Para mamaya mag-goodbye na lang ako. Please start, Obet. What can you say? What is your parting message?
Well, so far, everything that we had discussed ay talagang napakaganda, no? In fact, pati rin ako naman, I have some realizations. But I think more than ever, all the more that a leader with no titles, a leader can be anyone, should really give more trust to others, no? And as HR practitioner, our relationship, our decisions, our mindset, no, must be always be characterized with agility, with persistence, resilience, creativity, innovativeness in all our undertakings, so that this is our timely response to the varying needs and requirements and expectations of our people, more than the profit or being business centric. And at the same time, we also manage upward, no? Meaning manage the boss, the big boss. Yun ang challenge sa HR because the HR department serves as the conscience of top management. Madaling mag-manage pababa, ang mahirap i-manage yung pataas. So it's really challenging the status quo so that sabi nga ni Michelle kanina, hindi yung think out of the box, remove the box. I agree. Actually, you have to step out of the box and totally tanggalin na yung box. Sabi nga ni Jerry, no more rules. But it's easier said than done. So basically, it's how we identify, select, design, develop, and plan, organize, set up, and implement, and assess all the programs that we will embark on. No, not only because there is pandemic, but even after the pandemic. It's basically, it's for the people, with people, and through people, because we love people from the heart. That's all.
Parang ako nagbabasa ng ng ating magazine, ng magazine, di ba? Ganon talaga. Alam mo talaga, Obet talaga sigurado. Pero matutuwa nito si Joy. Siguro sayang talaga na hindi ka natuloy na naging pare. Siguro ang ganda mong bishop. na napakagaling na magsalita. Now, Ma'am
Thank
Michelle,
you.
ano ang mako-conclude natin po? What is your
Sige.
parting message?
Okay, number one, we have to realize this is a moment that matters, 'di ba? Lalo na sa ating mga HR practitioners. Nandito tayo sa parte ng ating profession wherein we are actually not only witnessing but playing a very critical role in the organization revolutionary transformation because totally everything is changing. And I think as HR, kailangan mahalaga ma-realize natin ang ating role in this new environment. I think number one, we need to continuously realize that we are now connectors, collaborators, and builders of the new organization. We need to continuously believe that we are champions of trust and integrity in these organizations. We let us continue to challenge meaningless processes in our organizations. Let's drive passion and purpose, and most importantly, habang nagtatransform yung mga organization, habang yung mga leaders ay busy trying to think, how can we save the business? How can we reimagine the business? How can we redefine the business? Wag nating kakalimutan that our role ultimately is to be proponents of the value of the human spirit. Lalo na ngayon, di ba? We need to always operate with people first, with kindness, and with compassion.
Wow! Napakagandang conclusion. Ay nandito sa atin, nakikinig sa atin, Michelle, si Bong Tamayaw. At nagsasabi siya. Yan. Yung sinabi mo po, napakagaling po. Alam mo yung sinabi ni Mary, quotable quotes yun. Talaga. Kaya yung, dapat umalik tayo sa ating purpose. Why we are there. Bakit tayo sinisweldoan as HR leaders? It's actually yung being humane. Yung, tingnan natin yung human side ng ano. Tingnan mo, especially now that we're pandemic. But of course, yun yung topic natin, how we are going to really initiate those changes. Diba? Na pareho sila mayroong may commonality trust, di ba? And then dear Jerry Plana.
Okay, this will be very brief. I think a lot has been said already. I think the pandemic has put leadership to the test.
Right.
And what is sad about that is many have not received very high grades. And knowing that in a disruptive environment, this will not be the last disruption we will ever face, I think we need to take seriously the task of developing our leaders to be more transformational, agile, and resilient. I think this is a task that not just HR should drive, but even CEOs should put top of their agenda. We can learn a lot from this pandemic experience. I think we need to consolidate all our learnings and bring that to the fore so that we can develop better leaders. Remember that saying we always said before, people join organizations but they leave their bosses. I think we should not fall into that prey again moving into the future. I think there can be a better way for running organizations with more enlightened leaders that are transformational, agile, and resilient.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you very much, Obet, Michelle, and Jerry. You know, I always include in my webinars desiderata. It's an old, sometimes they call it baduy.
Mm.
But these guys actually, these are the people greater than myself. Narinig nyo, ladies and gentlemen, how they conclude the episode. Ang galing-galing po. Let us share this. Let us share this episode to everybody so that madadagdagan. And then the topic is really essential now. How are we going to be transformational? And how are we going to really transform our mindsets and the mindsets of our human resources? And what are those things that we need to stop doing so that we can now pivot to the next real normal, di ba? So, ladies and gentlemen, um, yes, we really need to be spiritual. Sabi nga ni Obet, we really need to be trusting and really need to look into ourselves and be humble. At ang sinabi nga ni Pipi Jerry is actually uh, parang change the mindset. No more rules, no more everything. Sinabi ni Michelle, out of the box. A lot of things to think now so that we can add inputs to our organization. Ang galing po. So dyan po tayo magtatapos kasi overtime na. And again, Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Obet. Thank you, Jerry. Let this be our Saturday family gathering so that we can see each
Ayos.
I will not be around on I will not be around on Tuesdays and Thursday. Maglilive ako kasi I'm doing webinars morning and afternoon. Tatama ka, Jerry, bumalik na yung kumukuha na.
Ah.
Nag-ano na yung nag-ano na yung bumabalik na yung sigla. Bumabalik yung sigla. So take care everybody. Take care everybody, and then try to share this kasi ang lalim po ng mga na-share ng ating mga past presidents ng PIMAP. Salamat po. Diyos mabalos.